as long as they look.
Seconds. Okay. 15. 10 seconds. Stand by.
Coming up on Channel 8 News, we see the bigger impact hazing can have on communities and hear from experts on mental health.
And later, a look at my sweet trip to some of the most important creatures in our ecosystem.
We're not live. Reset. We're not live.
Reset. We're not live yet.
Coming up on Channel 8 News, we see the bigger impact hazing can have on communities and hear from experts on mental health.
And later, a look at my sweet trip to see some of the most important creatures in our ecosystem.
Although it is going to be a very pretty sunny day outside today, stay tuned for potential thunderstorms this weekend.
This is KKSU-LD, broadcasting in high definition from Kansas State University, covering Manhattan, Riley County, and the Flint Hills. You're watching Channel 8 News.
Good morning, and welcome to Channel 8 News. I'm Dawson Wagner.
And I'm Macy Burning. Hearing the tragic story of Tim Pizza, reporter Bill Bernard attended an anti-hazing event hosted by Tim's parents to see what can be done to prevent tragedy from repeating itself.
Jim and Evelyn Piazza joined students and faculty in the Kansas State Union promoting the cautionary tale of how hazing can go wrong and the message of the burden they felt with their son's loss.
On the video. The next morning, he was found curled up in the cold basement, no shirt, in the fetal position, stiff and turning gray. For the next 45 minutes, the brothers debated about what to do, and they ordered a cleanup of the house while they tried to dress him, and they later let him lie there as he was slowly dying right in front of their eyes.
Timothy John Piazza was a pledge for the Beta Theta Pi fraternity at Penn State when he had ultimately passed away as a result of hazing. This had ended with the fraternity's closure and 26 of their members being charged for manslaughter.
I think they bring up a good point, and we don't know what happens behind closed doors outside of our own houses, so it's good to be aware and it's good to have these conversations.
Seeking the answers of how K-State handles hazing, I spoke with Interfraternity Council President Timmy Brill.
So IFC, we do have a complete zero tolerance hazing policy that's enforced throughout all the chapters. And we have a judicial board which does investigations into if there was any allegations of hazing or if there's any words of anything, so we can investigate and respond accordingly.
From Manhattan, this is Bill Bernard for Channel 8 News.
To contact the Interfraternity Council office, give them a call or go to room 4 in the Student Union.
Plans for a brand new K-State Multicultural Student Center are well underway. Channel 8 reporter Anna Wu finds out what students can expect in the coming months.
On fundraising for the Morris Family Multicultural Student Center. The Diversified Student Center will be under construction in August 2019 and is expected to be completed in the fall of 2020. The Multicultural Student Center will be located to the east of the Student Union, which covers gatherings, conferences, and performance practice spaces. I got a chance to talk with Jessica Elmore about the Multicultural Center programs.
Now, although we know the journey had not always been easy, we have been progressive. And I think that when we think about a multicultural student center, this is an important piece if we want to continue that legacy and continue to be in a place where students from all different backgrounds will be able to come together.
Multicultural has always been a major factor that K-State University focuses on and promotes. Diversity brings students from different countries and different ethnic groups together to share and exchange the differences of their cultures, which brings students together to create a better and colorful K-State community.
Inclusion is one of the most important things here at K-State University. I got a chance to talk with Dr. Rodriguez, who's the Associate Vice President.
We're blessed and we're excited that we've had so many contributors already to get us to where we are, and we're looking forward to crossing that finish line very soon.
In Manhattan, I'm Anna Wu for Channel 8 News.
It looks like there's plenty of things to be excited about coming up for students here at K-State.
Speaking of students, many parents are concerned with cold and flu season just around the corner. Angela Sawyer is here with information about how to stay healthy.
Going to classes while you're feeling under the weather is never an idea, but for Marissa Path, she pushes through.
It's not the best because if I have to cough or something, I feel like I have to hold it in because I don't want to disrupt class or anything like that. But I leave and I kind of just feel exhausted.
For Lafayette Health Center, this time of year brings many colds, but illnesses can vary. If you're worried at all about your symptoms, the best place to go is to your doctor. At Lafayette Health Center, Abby King, Director of Nursing, gives us more information about how to stay healthy.
Well, staying healthy in general, I would say, your normal exercise, getting 8 hours sleep every night, eating healthy.
The flu shot is also encouraged to keep yourself and others from getting sick. And if you do get sick, make sure you do your best to keep it from spreading. I'm Angela Sawyer in Manhattan, Channel 8 News.
It's definitely the time of year to think about avoiding germs. Getting a flu shot and washing your hands are easy ways to make sure you stay healthy.
Another health and safety measure people can take is being mindful while crossing the street. According to Kansas bike laws, anyone riding a bike on a crosswalk should stop and walk their bike across. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports that while pedestrian fatalities remain high, there has been a decrease in the number of pedestrians killed in traffic crashes in recent years. Pedestrians and drivers should remember to stay aware of street signs and traffic conditions.
Everybody, crosswalk safety can be very preventable if everybody pays attention. Between the drivers need to pay attention, the people crossing the crosswalks need to pay attention. It's not one or the other, both sides need to be paying attention.
We're about to tease here too.
Up next, our live reporter Nick Yuska has an inside look at one of our favorite ways to get around town.
We also check out a beloved Fort Riley tradition. All this and more after the break.
I was a little hesitant, but I took the time and I looked at it. I said, number one, this is Kansas State University. That's a solid name institution that is a research institution. It's land grant. You're not going to get better than what Kansas State is and what Kansas State stands for.
You can actually see it. Come on, one more.
H1 minus H2 plus V1 squared minus V2 squared all over 2. Are you ready?
Manhattan residents and K-State students alike have been enjoying the free bike share services that Green Apple Bikes have offered to the community since 2015.
Channel 8 reporter Nick Yuska has more on the accessibility issues the community has encountered with free service.
Thank you, guys. Green Apple Bikes is a free bike service that has become so popular, it's making it hard to find bikes.
I'd say in the last year, I used a Green Apple bike about 3 or 4 times. Most of the time, I just find them wherever, walking around,
Usually off campus, honestly. I hardly ever see them in the actual green stands. Sometimes when you find a green apple bike, it doesn't even work. So overall, it could be a lot more effective.
I'm here with Jonathan Rivers, the director of Green Apple Bikes. Jonathan, thanks for taking time with us. How many bikes do you have here?
Well, we have probably over 400 bikes in circulation, which is actually down a little bit from our peak summertime, which is usually about 550 or so out in the community.
And what improvements have you guys made in the past 4 years?
Well, over the past 4 years, we've tried to incorporate higher quality bikes stay out in the community much longer. And the community can help us letting us know if a bike breaks down by texting the number that's on the frame of the bike. And that's how we track bikes. That's how we know when we need to pick them up to fix them. And the ones picking them up are all volunteers.
Awesome, Jonathan. Thank you so much. I'm Nick Yusuke for Channel 8 News. Sending it back to you, Dawson.
Thanks, Nick. We can all benefit from honest conversations about mental health. Miriam Chamberlain has an MHK All-Day special report. Miriam?
Suicide is a significant public health issue. The entire month of September carries a simple yet life-saving message that suicide is preventable. We have the opportunity to hear insight from campus service organizations such as Stand Up for Your Sister and Building Brotherhood. Thanks, Stacy and Max, for coming in today.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I want to know if why do you think the stigma around mental health is persistent?
I think a lot of the issue is people are just embarrassed or they feel alone in their struggles with suicidal ideation or things of that nature. So typically it's something that they want to keep inward and not share because they don't want people to view them differently, or they don't want to be viewed as a pity case, as I hear from a lot of women in Stand Up for Your Sister. And so I think that's what keeps it persistent, is people don't necessarily want to judge them for it, but they are still afraid to share.
I'd say from like a guy's perspective, a lot of it's just a shame issue. Just with westernized culture, and I think how it's kind of formed the perspective of being a man, it's really hindered the ability for a lot of guys to feel comfortable opening up about issues they might be going through. So once that compacts, it just creates a deeper issue.
Yeah, so what are some, I guess, things or signs that you can look among peers when it comes to suicidal thoughts?
Yeah, I think some really basic things are listening to the words they're speaking. If they're saying comments like, it'd be better off without me here, or, man, I really just want to leave, or I wish I wasn't here anymore. Things of that nature are the most prominent ways that people might express suicidal ideation or intent. And also, I think just erratic behavior that's not like them, excessive depression, giving away things that are really important to them, to the people around them. There are a lot of signs and warnings, but those are just a few.
So as organizations, each one of you guys' organizations, how does your services give back to like college students in particularly?
Yeah, I was gonna say for at least Building Brotherhood, part of the vision that we have is to tell your story, discover your passion, and pursue your purpose. So just understanding that everybody's coming in to college with a lot on their plate, whether it's family issues they might have from back home or financially figuring out career path. There's just a lot of different variables that play a role in that. And so everybody's got a story to tell, which is a unique thing about it, is nobody's alone in that matter. And then through that, trying to discover what your passion may be, and through a lot of stories, you will discover your passion. And then through that, ultimately, how can you pursue your purpose? Because you then know what your passion is. So that's just kind of the format of Building Brotherhood.
Well, yeah, thank you guys so much for coming in. I really appreciate your insight on the mental health awareness. The effects of suicide are far-reaching, but they are preventable. One man who lost his friend says prevention is as easy as one question.
It's like, how's your day?
Whenever Robert Okoye speaks to his friends, he now always asks them that question. Ever since his friend Josh, just only in his mid-20s, decided one day to take his own life.
When I heard about the news, I was just like, it's crazy. Like, I never had this like feeling like before, and it was very emotional, and it was very hard because I never been through that kind of situation. There was like just like a period where I just like felt like, what should I have done in that moment?
Seeing Josh just days before his tragic incident has had a lasting impact on Robert. Suicide thoughts, much like mental health conditions,
can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, or background. In most cases, friends and family who are affected by these losses are usually left in the dark.
Saddest thing I've saw like about all the whole thing was his family, especially his brother, was just like crying the whole entire time. And I have a little brother, and I can't imagine if I was gone and you can't you can't see your brother again.
Generally, those who contemplate suicide thoughts tend to isolate themselves, but also could show other warning signs.
They could be feeling hopeless, like things are never going to change. Helpless, I feel really bad right now and things are really, really bad and there's nothing I can do about it. And then they feel worthless. That feeling we all have every now and then. Nobody cares about me. Nobody cares if I was gone. So those are the 3 warning signs that you hear when somebody's in danger to harm themselves.
You never know what the person is feeling inside, because I never knew what Josh was feeling inside.
While suicide prevention is important to address year-round, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month provides a dedicated time to come together with collective passion and strength about the difficult topic. One conversation can change a life. For MHK All Day on Channel 8 News, I'm Miriam Chamberlain. Back to you, Macy and Dawson.
Thanks, Miriam. Up next, we'll take a look at some possible upcoming storms this weekend.
So stay with us to keep dry this weekend.
I was a little hesitant, but I took the time and I looked at it. I said, number one, this is Kansas State University. That's a solid name institution that is a research institution. It's land grant. You're not going to get better than what Kansas State is and what Kansas State stands for.
And you can actually see it.
Come on, one more.
H1 minus H2 plus V1 squared minus V2 squared all over 2. Are you ready?
Local honeybee keepers have had a rough run lately, and it's not over yet.
That's right, Macy. Bee colonies have had troubling losses this past year, with not only the large amount of snow affecting colonies, but chemicals too. Earlier this week, I was able to see the colonies firsthand.
As the bee population continues to dwindle, bee farmers around Kansas struggle as they try to work through the conditions big agriculture and Mother Nature has dealt them.
Here in Concordia, Kansas, the issue of maintaining bee colonies continues to rise as varroa mites, natural circumstances, and chemicals continue to plague these colonies. Gary Reynolds and grandson Joshua tell us more.
The store that we have right here in Concordia is still selling Roundup, and I'm going to go in and talk to him, and I know the owner of the store, and you know, they've got to stop.
Not only have Roundup and other chemicals continued to affect the population of bees, but colonies at Rainbow Honey Farm are still depleting.
We've lost 2 colonies of bees out of actually 3 hives and another bee yard. This is only frame here that's full of honey.
The issue of losing bee colonies is going to continue rising without action. Josh Yankovic wraps up with the biggest problem that beekeepers face today.
The problem is the government and big agriculture and big pharmacy, they're knowingly using these chemicals when they know that they're detrimental to insect life.
At Rainbow Honey Farms, this is Dawson Wagner for Channel 8 News.
Save the bees. But seriously, what a great message from Gary and Josh.
We appreciate their story and hope this brings attention to the rising issues of bee colonies. And it must have been so cool to see the beehives up close.
It was definitely worth the trip out to Concordia to check off a bucket list item. A little closer to home, we've got a look at local weather with Bailey Matthews. Bailey?
Thanks, Dawson. Let's take a look at our national weather temperatures. In our northeast region, we are going to be in our low 80s. Taking it down, we're going to be warming up around Florida area, where it's going to be in our low 90s. Switching it to the other side, where we're going to be in our mid 60s. Taking it down to California, where it's going to warm up even more, where it's going to be 80 degrees-ish. And then let's go to Texas, where that is going to warm up a lot of it and be in our high 90s, okay? And then central area, that is going to be around 75 degrees, excuse me. So let's take a look at our Kansas map. On our west area, that's going to be pretty consistent and being in our low 70s. So let's take a look at Riley County. Riley County is going to be around low 80s, high 70s. And then taking it down and around, that is going to be a little bit cooler in our high 70s. So for our 24-hour agenda today, it's going to be 67 degrees right now. It's partly cloudy. We can see our high at 4 p.m. That's going to be in our high 70s, very sunny. And then our sunset's going to be around 7:20 p.m. and that is going to be at our mid 70s. For our 5-day forecast, on Friday, it is going to be a high of 83 and a low of 60. Saturday is going to be a little bit more sunny at 75 and a low of 69. On Sunday, you're going to see those thunderstorms come out at a high of 86 and a low of 74. Monday, high of 89 and a low of 73. The sun's going to come out, and then storms again on Tuesday, high of 83 and a low of 63. So that is our weather for today. Thank you.
Thanks, Bailey. It looks like it might be a good weekend to stay inside.
Up next on Channel 8 News, we have a closer look at a brand new K-State tradition and an age-old Fort Riley tradition.
You can actually see it.
Come on, one more.
H1 minus H2 plus V1 squared minus V2 squared all over 2.
Fans, are you ready?
With a brand new football coach comes a brand new culture.
Sports anchor Glenn Kinley has more on the Chris Kleinman era team. Glenn?
Pound the stone has become a common saying this football season here at K-State. Channel 8 reporter Stephanie Nutt has more details behind this saying.
In the new era, with Chris Kleinman as the head coach at Kansas State University, comes one of his mantras, pound the stone. Ben Newman, a performance coach, international speaker, and best-selling author, introduced the saying to the football team.
It's just daily, the nonstop grind of continuing to believe and continue to go to work. No matter what's in front of you, continue to pound the stone.
K-State fans have quickly favored his mantras.
Products like this shirt with Win the Dang Day on it have become a K-State fan favorite this football season.
Coaches and players take pounding the stone into play during practices and games.
It just means to us on the field to attack, every play. So every play, you got to take it one play at a time, give everything you got one play at a time, and eventually that stone's going to crack. When that stone cracks, you come out with the win.
K-State football will continue to pound the stone this Saturday against Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Oklahoma at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. In Manhattan, Kansas, this is Stephanie Nutt for Channel 8.
Heading into Week 5 of college football, the Wildcats are ready for a big matchup against the Cowboys. Going into this week's games, the Wildcats are ranked number 24 in the AP Poll's top 25 for the first time since 2017. While some people were skeptical of Kleiman at the beginning of the season, he and the Wildcats are now earning recognition on a national level.
Continuing to grow and try to getting better every day. I don't pay attention to if we're ranked or not ranked or what. I pay attention obviously to our record because that's what you're judged by. But we're a long ways away from being a finished product.
That's all for sports this week. Back to you, Dawson.
Thanks, Glenn. Fort Riley held their annual Fall Apple Days Festival this past weekend. The festival attracted soldiers and other community members alike, including our own Channel 8 reporter Bailey Matthews.
Fort Riley is a very historic spot, home of Little Apple Days, which is a fun community event that helps celebrate its deep history.
Seeing so many soldiers and their families come by our tent, which is the field medical unit represented during the American Civil War, and talking with them and seeing how much interest they have, not only in what we are doing and what we represent, but those favored few of the Big Red One helping to protect our nation in time of need.
The event is free and open to the public. There's activities, games, historic reenactments, military equipment, and music for people to enjoy.
Here at Little Apple Days, there are so many ways that we can learn about our history with Fort Riley and have a lot of fun while doing it too.
History, living history, we get an opportunity to show people things, and we do that at any venue we can find.
Little Apple Days was also a great way to get the word out about a new museum opening up.
Fort Riley is a marvelous historical place, and very shortly the museum at Fort Riley is going to open again, and Dr. Robert Smith, the curator of the museum, is going to be very, very proud to have any and all of you come and visit the museum. And while you're here, you might as well go over to Abilene and visit the Eisenhower Museum, which just recently opened.
In Manhattan, this is Bailey Matthews with Channel 8 News.
Join us here after the break with more Channel 8 News.
But I took the time and I looked at it. I said, number one, this is Kansas State University. That's a solid name institution that is a research institution. It's land grant. You're not going to get better than what Kansas State is and what Kansas State stands for.
And you can actually see it.
Come on, more.
H1 minus H2 plus B1 squared minus B2 squared all over 2.
Fans, are you ready?
Like 15 seconds.
So Dawson, what are your plans for this weekend?
I'm looking forward to headed home and being able to spend time with my family for the weekend.
Oh my gosh, me too. You know, I live 4 hours away, so it's always a delight to get back home whenever I can. But that's all the time we have this week for Channel 8 News. Thanks so much for tuning in, and be sure to come back next week and have a good weekend.
I was a little hesitant, but I took the time and I looked at it. I said, number